Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Why do we suffer? Why do we go through all of this?" Well, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, said that most suffering is actually not because of events, but because of our thoughts about events. In other words, it's not what happens to us, but what we tell ourselves about what happens to us that causes us to suffer. So how do we stop that? How do we prevent our mind from causing us to suffer? Well, he also said that we have power over our minds, which means we can master our minds. And if we can master our minds, then we can master our lives. But how do we master our minds? Well, there are many ways, but one way is daily reflection. Every night before you go to sleep, you should reflect on the day. You should think about what happened throughout the day. You should think about how you acted throughout the day, how you thought throughout the day, and write it down in a journal. This is the best way to understand yourself and become a better person. As Marcus Aurelius says, "A man is known by his actions. So if you want to know who you are, look at what you've done. And once you know what you've done, then ask yourself, why did I do it? What was the reason for my actions? Was it because of fear? Was it because of anger? Was it because of pride?" Once you understand your motivations for your actions, then you can start to change them. Then you can start to change your thoughts. And if you can change your thoughts, then you can change your actions. And if you can change your actions, then you can change your life. It's the same thing with meditation. Meditation is just sitting in stillness and reflecting on your thoughts. It's getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's getting comfortable with not knowing what's going to happen next. When we meditate, we learn to be present in the moment. We learn to focus on our breath. We learn to let go of the past and not worry about the future. And when we learn to do that, then we learn to calm our minds. So let's talk about how we can apply this to our lives today. Let's say someone insults you. What's your natural reaction? Get angry, right? Start fighting, start yelling, start screaming. But if you pause for a second, if you take a deep breath, then you can choose a different reaction. You can choose calmness. You can choose to ignore it. You can choose to walk away. That's power. That's the power of the still mind. That's the power of the calm mind. When you're able to stay calm when everyone else is freaking out, that's strength. So let me give you some practical steps you can follow when things get tough. When someone insults you, when someone pushes you, when someone provokes you, or when there's chaos all around you. First, pause. Don't react immediately. Give yourself a few seconds to think. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is yes, then do something about it. But if the answer is no, then let it go. Why waste energy on things that are beyond your control? Instead, redirect that energy towards things that are within your control. This is the essence of Stoicism. It's the art of focusing on what you can change and accepting what you can't. One of the biggest problems in our modern society is that we try to control everything. We try to control the weather. We try to control other people's opinions. We try to control outcomes. But the only thing we can control is our own thoughts and actions. So instead of wasting energy trying to control things that are beyond our control, we should focus on controlling the one thing that we can control, our minds. When we learn to do that, then we become truly powerful. Now, I know that this is easier said than done, but it's not impossible. With practice, with daily reflection, with meditation, we can train our minds to be calm in the face of adversity. We can train our minds to be strong when everyone else is weak. Remember, the calm mind is unbreakable. When storms rage, stillness is strength. As a kid, I used to be very impulsive. I would make decisions without thinking about them. I would say things without considering the consequences. I would act without thinking things through. But as I got older, I realized that this was not a good way to live. I started to see the benefits of taking a step back and considering things before I acted on them. And so I began to practice this in every aspect of my life. For example, when I'm faced with a difficult decision, I now take the time to weigh out the pros and cons, consider the potential consequences of each option, and try to make the best decision that I can. I also do this with my public speaking. I used to get very nervous before I spoke in public. I would shake, and I would sweat, and I would stumble over my words. But now I take a few deep breaths before I speak, and I visualize myself giving a successful presentation. And guess what? It works. I'm much calmer now when I speak in public. I also do this with my relationships. I used to be very reactive with my friends and my family. I would get angry easily, and I would say things without thinking about them. But now I take a step back before I react. I consider how my words and actions will affect others, and I try to respond in a thoughtful and considerate way. And finally, I do this with my business. When I'm faced with a difficult problem, I don't panic. I take a step back, I analyze the situation, and I come up with a plan to solve the problem. This is the mindset that has helped me succeed in business and in life. It's the mindset of the Stoic. You see, the Stoics believed that we have the power to control our minds, and therefore we have the power to control our lives. They believed that we shouldn't be reactive, but that we should take a step back and think before we act. They believed that we shouldn't be controlled by our emotions, but that we should be in control of them. And most importantly, they believed that we should focus on what we can control and accept what we can't. In today's world, we're constantly bombarded with things that we can't control. The news, social media, the economy, the weather. But if we focus on these things, we'll be stressed out and unhappy. Instead, we should focus on what we can control, our thoughts and actions. When we do this, we'll be more successful in business and in life. So if you want to be successful, if you want to be happy, then adopt the mindset of the Stoic. Take a step back before you act. Think before you speak. Focus on what you can control and accept what you can't. Trust me, it will make all the difference in the world. You see, when you start to control your mind, when you start to become stoic, you start to become more confident. You start to believe in yourself. And when you believe in yourself, you start to achieve your goals. You start to succeed. And that's the ultimate goal of Stoicism, isn't it? To become the best version of yourself, to achieve your potential. That's what Stoicism is all about. And that's why I love it. And that's why I think you should try it too. If you enjoyed this video, then check out Fortitude Mindset, where I post videos on mental health, motivation, and personal development.